Good morning, everybody, and welcome again to another exciting episode of the Access Granted podcast. Today, I'm very excited to have Mr. Gordon Moore from Reditron. He's the National Sales Director there. Welcome, Gordon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Gordon has been in this market for a very long time, so I thought it's always a good idea to have somebody with so much knowledge in this market of ours. Tell us, Gordon, where you come from, that type of spiel which we're doing every time.
Good. How do we summarize 55 years now?
Yes.
55 years. I'm of Scottish descent.
Okay.
My parents and my sister came to South Africa in the late 60s. I was born in 1971, Witbank.
Okay.
Family relocated to a small holdings area, Klip River, just outside Alberton.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Klip River. That was the majority of my childhood.
Okay.
Went to little farm school, Ella Ridge, for a big part of my primary school. There was a small phase where my sister wanted to go to a town school, so I spent 2 years at Alberton Primary. That's ironically at the age 10, 1981, I met what was to later become my wife.
Oh, okay. At age 10?
At the age 10.
Goodness.
Unbeknown to us at that time.
Yes, of course.
I then went back to Ella Ridge once my sister finished primary school and finished my primary school at Ella Ridge. High school, I gave town a go again. I came to Brackenhigh, grade 8. Unfortunately, due to injury, I didn't spend much time at school in what was standard 6 back then.
Okay.
At the end of that first year, I asked my parents if I could go to boarding school, and I finished my high school at General Smuts High in Vereeniging.
Okay, yes.
Must say I wasn't much of an academic. Wasn't really focused on school.
It sounds familiar.
In those days, yeah. I think it's also, life has changed, you know.
Yes.
In those days, what I did find out later or became known to us with my own kids is I probably did have ADD.
Yep.
But in those days, that wasn't a thing. You were either naughty or lazy.
They tried to hit it out of you.
Hit it out of you. But did excelled in my technical subjects and things like that, areas where I had interest and passion.
Yes.
But, the rest. So, I didn't get varsity entrance after school. So I went to college. I did my first national diploma in electrical.
Okay.
It's the family industry. My dad was electrical. My uncle was. They came to the country to help build power stations and infrastructure.
From that side.
From Scotland,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I think I was exposed to electrical my whole life and felt that should be my career. After a year finishing the diploma, I realized that I wasn't really passionate about electrical. So I went and I did my national service. And when I came out of the national service, I joined what was the post office in those days for my apprenticeship.
Yep.
That became Telcom, and I was given a second chance. At that point, I'd realized that I needed to change things and that.
Yes.
I went back. I did my second national diploma in electronics, and luckily for me, the Technicons came up with a bridging course.
That's correct, yes.
I could switch from the N stream to the S stream. So I finished my studies at Wits Technicon.
Awesome.
So that's the background to my education.
And then you were mentioning that you were not interested in electrical, but what made you interested in electronics? Why the second diploma?
I've always been, I was that kid when my parents gave me a double tape deck. The first thing I did was take it apart to see how it works. My first computer was a Commodore 64. My dad was upset when he came home to finding it open. I wanted to see what's inside. I've always had a passion for how do things work, electronics and things like that. So, I think I was always more interested in the electronic side, but why I studied electrical first, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it was just lack of focus on what I wanted.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe just not knowing what I wanted.
That is I think that is where the message from everybody comes from. It sounds weird, but most of us do not know what we want to do after school. there's maybe a very small percentage of people that actually knows what they want to do after school. Normally, they will either follow the path that the
Path of
parents
least
will say,
resistance.
or something that you know about. If your dad was a lecturer or only at the school, then you'll go in that direction or something. But most of us, I think that is the main message. We don't know what we're going to do after schools. We're trying to get into a direction, and the guys are running the tests at school and stuff like that. But I don't think those tests actually show up where we actually did at the moment.
I certainly didn't choose my career.
Yes.
If you'd asked the 18 or 20-year-old back then what I was going to be, certainly not this.
Exactly, yeah. Tell me then, after your studies and stuff, your early work experience before getting to Reditron?
So I finished my apprenticeship with him. Obviously, studied at Technicon. While I was at Technicon, we did projects and things, and these projects were showcased to industry. And I was very fortunate. Telkom was going through the transition at that stage, so they weren't holding anybody to their work back time. I was able to leave Telkom straight away.
Okay.
And I'd been made an offer by a company in South Africa called Thales, not to be confused with the French company Thales.
Yes.
Two very different companies, but they focused on R&D in the military segment. So very lucky. There's not a lot of R&D companies in South Africa.
Yes.
To be exposed to that was really lucky. So I started my career there. We had a lot of video products and that we were doing for military, and there was a little bit of a spin-off, in high-end security. There were some requirements that we could help with and that there. So there was a little bit of security back then.
Yes.
Then in the late 90s, obviously, government put a hold on all military spend.
That's correct. Yes.
During the transition, and as a company, we had to figure out a way forward.
Yep.
And the natural progression for us would be security. We looked at the product. We were at the early stages of developing DVRs for the military before digital video was relevant in the commercial side.
It must have been very interesting because that time the technology was not really up to par to do that.
It was, yeah. If I look back, the first motion detector we built was on a 286.
Oh yes.
And we
you could run pieces then on a 286.
we had to constantly redevelop it because technology was changing so fast, and we developed cards for the ISA slot. Then they became PCI slots, and we were constantly having to develop new technology. But it's when you look back at where we started with the development and where we are now.
Yeah.
And I guess that's my namesake's fault. Moore's law.
Yes, Moore's law. Yes.
Moore's law said the capacitors will double every year, and technology will speed up and cost will drop. So
exactly, yeah.
So Thales exposed. We had to reinvent. And that was my introduction into security. We realized that if we wanted to survive the hold, we had to find another revenue stream. I then shifted in from the R&D side into the commercial side of the business, and I headed up a technical division where we started doing high-end security installations and commissioning for the installers. So we would design and then go in and commission. That's where I got exposed to Provicom. Used to do a lot of work for Provicom in some national key sites. And Steve van Aswegen at the time was in charge. He had just acquired a new business Provicom was part of Bidvest, but he had acquired a new business and bundled it there. And that was my first exposure. That was the turning point in my career, where I was shifting from being a technician to leadership. He approached me and asked me if I would be willing to run a little distribution business that they'd acquired. And that if I think back, if I'd known then what I know now, I would never have taken on the job. I would have been too scared, but I was oblivious.
Yeah, I mean...
going from technician one day to MD the next day, no business sense, no business background or anything. But very fortunate, very lucky that somebody was willing to take a chance with me. And when I spoke to him last year, he's retired, I asked him what he was thinking, and he said to me at the time, the other directors saw that the weaknesses they had was my strengths, and they could teach me the rest. And that's why they were willing to take that risk. Very fortunate to also get onto the Bidvest Academy at the time. So
Yeah.
my crash course in business.
A fast one.
A very fast one. I had to work hard.
Of course.
Had to work harder than most to get up to speed and
Yes.
everything. From Bidvest, I moved around within Bidvest. They decided the distribution company wasn't really their core business, moved me into Magnum. Magnum, that was at that transition point where guarding companies realized technology was going to be part of their future.
Yeah.
Spent a year in Magnum looking at opening a technology division, and then Bidvest decided to combine Provicom and Magnum together, which is what we know today as Bidvest Radiocoin.
Exactly, yes.
I left shortly after that transition. Had a gap year where I wanted to try something new. I worked for a company called Change Corp, which was what would have been much easier now with AI. It was human AI then. We literally were monitoring video at high speed, looking for behaviors and things with controllers and things. Wasn't really me. Then I tried to run a little retail shop with a friend that was willing to invest. Realized retail wasn't for me.
Yes.
And ADI approached me. In my Tali's days, they had worked with me and discussed possibly joining them. They reapproached me. They had a product management position available. Had no idea what product management was about, but I took it on. And over the 8 years at ADI, I changed positions 3 times, went from product management to business development, country leader, regional manager in ADI. Climbed the corporate ladder.
Yes.
Just realized the corporate ladder was against the wrong building. That
of course
it just wasn't where I wanted to go or anything like that. But I learned a lot. Working for the international company, a lot of courses overseas. Really grew. So I was really fortunate. There being part of the Honeywell group. Left ADI, joined Forbat for a short while, and then Raymond approached me to join Regal.
Yes.
Joined Regal as project specialist. Worked within Regal, everybody's favorite year, 2020, 2019, 2020.
Yes.
I was in the project space in Regal. The end of 2020, Raymond approached me to run Reditron. That's how I got to where I am.
Yeah, I mean I think the whole, again, I'm pulling out the message there is, you can always start over. If you see something's not working, rather make the decision and go to something else. You're picking up experience everywhere, but if you get to a point where you say, like you say, retail wasn't for you, that wasn't for you. If you're not making that decision fast enough, you're not getting where you're actually supposed to be.
Yeah, I agree. But I think the other message there that people need to be aware of is stop resisting.
Yes.
What I've realized is my personality is what it is. And
you cannot change it.
I've changed jobs 3 times, most significant jobs 3 times. Each of those occasions I joined the company in a position that was with no intention of running the business or leading the business. In a position with no direct reports.
Exactly.
Each time I'll end up back where I started, so it took me a long time to stop resisting that and realizing this is me and this is the direction I need to focus on. I think it's finding your niche and understanding who you are.
Yes.
People change jobs because they're unhappy, but if they don't understand who they are and what they are, they end up in the same position each time.
And also the other thing that is coming up in a lot of these interviews is somebody saw you. You always think you're sitting there, you're doing your job and you're doing it very well from your point of view and stuff. And you think, maybe internally nobody's seeing me, but then these guys saw you, those guys saw you and get onto it. I think probably today is much easier because we've got LinkedIn, we've got the social media, so people can go in and actually do some research. But being seen in that time, I think that is something different.
Yeah, I think it's being open-minded. If I look at the most relevant positions or most meaningful positions I've been in, every single one of them has been as a result of somebody else seeing something in me that I didn't see.
Yes.
You know, I didn't set out to be a product manager. I didn't set out to be business development. I didn't set out to be a business leader.
Yep.
I'm a technician behind.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I think it's being open-minded and experimenting, and also not waiting for the right time. You
Exactly.
know,
Yeah.
it's quite ironic. In roughly about 2010, 2011 is the first time I met Raymond. I went to an interview. He was going to start this new company called IPSec, and he was looking for a business leader for the business. I just left Bidvest. I felt I wasn't, at that time, I didn't feel I was a business leader.
Yep.
And I walked away from the position.
Exactly, yeah.
IPSec, he acquired Reditron and combined IPSec with Reditron.
That's correct, yes.
I'm now running the business he originally
It's coming back to you.
Yeah, so sometimes, you know, you don't wait for the right time.
That's correct, yeah.
Make the decision and commit.
Of course. Coming back now to the present now, with all of your experience in the distribution side, we get a lot of questions these days, not only in South Africa, but international. The guys are questioning this distribution channel. Well, what is the value and stuff that is in that distribution channel? Now, from your point of view, having all of this experience from ADSI side and what you guys are doing now at Reditron, what would you say is the 5 top things? I want to set the number 5, but I mean, what is the top points for you? What is valuable for a distributor in this market? Or what is the value of a distributor in this market?
I think, I mean, obviously the market perception is that some distributors or all distributors are box movers.
Yes.
And I think if any distributor right now is a box mover, they're probably irrelevant.
Yes.
If we really had to simplify what is the function of a distributor, we're here to be the buffer between the manufacturer and fragmented markets. You know, especially when you look at countries like South Africa.
Yes.
And that our role is to add value and be that buffer in the fragmented market.
Yes.
What are the 5 values? You know, I think obviously technical knowledge, marketing. You know, we need to be part of that marketing, get the message out there. Cash flow, credit facilities,
exactly,
stock availability, and the buffer on customs and shipping and things like that. Sorry, I'm just thinking what I've said and what I haven't said yet. So it's basically technical ability, marketing, stock holding, cash flow, and support, local support, local accountability.
Yeah. I think it's a very big, a big problem that we've had in the markets, especially to where it's making now easier and easier for people to do their own imports and that type of thing. And I've had how many people that say, well, we imported that and it worked for a while, but now we don't have the cash flow to do the second import because our money is still into the first. And so what you're saying on the credit facilities and having the stock and that type of thing is very prevalent, where the guys need to understand it's not easy to run. It's something very intricate to do.
You know, if I look over time, you know, a lot of people out there will come from the SI side and I think, you know what, I actually want to be the distributor. It's the easy part.
Yeah.
I think people underestimate the cost of distribution. Cash flow is king. It's a big part of our
You're not talking about thousands of rands. You're talking about millions and millions on top of millions. Because I mean, it's also I think a very nice thing is to combine product categories, having a basket of. You don't just import cameras, you import other things as well, and actually making it easier for the guys to buy.
No, I think it's about becoming relevant, and I think it's going to change. I think there's no doubt we're seeing a change, and I think some distributors are going to start shifting to less value adds, more towards logistics.
Yes.
Some distributors, and then I think, you know, the important one is becoming a technology partner.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you want to survive, you've got to decide which route. You know, there's no right or wrong. One, you know, it's just around your business model and where you think your strengths can come. But I think there will be a separation in those that will drop value adds and trend more towards logistics, and those that will become technology partners.
Yes.
And the guys that are trying to sit in the middle will disappear.
Yeah, we've even seen from our side, being the OEM and the manufacturer, is we cannot keep on just putting out hardware the full solutions need to be there, the full platforms need to be there for the rest of the supply chain to have value in what you're having in the market. So just having hardware and moving boxes is not going to happen in the future.
No, and I think that's where the value of the distributor is. We have multiple brands. We can look at best fit.
Yes.
Not years ago when I was still in the field and I was with a consultant, we were busy doing a handover of a prison, and somebody asked the consultant, which is the best brand?
Yes.
And his answer at the time was nobody. He says, if I could take individual components from each brand and put it together, I'd be able to have the best solution.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think that's what distribution is about. Distribution is about being able to give the installer, the end user, the right solution.
Yes. It actually comes into my next question, whereby from the distribution side, obviously I've got the view from the manufacturer side, but the view from the distribution side upwards, do you think there is something like brand loyalty with the installers and the integrators these days?
I think there is, but it's changing. I think we're shifting from the days where it's about the logo, and it's more about the outcomes.
Yeah.
And I think brand loyalty would look very different if there were no budget constraints. Simple example, I'd love to own a BMW X5, but my budget just doesn't permit.
Yes.
Fortunately for me, there's alternatives out there now that are fit for purpose.
Exactly, yeah.
They meet my requirements and they fit within my budget. I think if there wasn't budget constraints, brand loyalty would look very different.
Yes.
And I think the gap is diminishing. Technology has improved across the board. Production has improved across the board, and I think there's a lot more fit for purpose. I think the mindset is shifting from purchasing something that'll work, that fits within my budget, rather than waiting for the perfect product.
Exactly, yeah. Now, the next question almost fits with that is, do you think our market here in South Africa, is it installer-driven product-wise, or do you think the end user actually has got a say in the product that's going to be used?
I think the shift is happening. I think installers are still very relevant in decision, but I think it's shifted from, in the old days, the installer was the decision maker.
Yes.
I think we're shifting now more towards the installers becoming the technical advisor, the technology advisor. And I think it's being deliberately driven by manufacturers.
Yes.
Manufacturers have increased marketing, brand awareness, case studies. So I think by the time the installer is getting to site, the conversation has already started.
Yeah.
The installer's role is now to help that end user distinguish between marketing hype and reality.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the success of the installation is still going to come down to educated installer, good installers.
Of course, yes.
But I think the shift is happening, and it's kind of in the tilt now between end users knowing what they want, but just needing clarity.
I think that is also where the roles of the manufacturer and the distribution is changing now. Is having that front foot in front and having actually access to the end user and saying, this is what you can have. From our side, here in South Africa, we've pivoted almost not away, but we are pivoting a lot of our marketing towards end users, so they can even see the brand, they can see what the solutions are, and so on. So, like you say, if they are educated of making, and I think previously it was kept not on purpose kept away from them, but that was just the beast of our market. It's marketing directly to installers, because those are the guys that's supposed to run around and have the word out there.
I think it is. It's an industry where information was limited. It wasn't like appliance industry or the motor industry where TV was focusing on brand awareness.
Exactly,
the average end user just wasn't exposed to information, and now that's more readily available. I think AI, is also it's driving it. As an end user, and you've got outcomes you require. You put your outcomes in and see what AI comes back with, and it gives pretty good comparatives.
Exactly,
and things like that. So it's much easier for the end user. We went through a phase where there was a lot of information,
Yeah.
that the end user had to try and differentiate
Mm-hmm.
and try and figure out what is marketing hype and what is reality.
Of course, yes.
And I think AI is helping
Yeah.
the end user now with that decision.
It's
But,
that next level of search.
yeah, but
You
it's
don't
still
have to do your own research anymore. You just tell it and then it will give you something.
give you something. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that is shifting, and it will eventually become end user driven.
Yes.
But the installer will always stay relevant.
No,
no
definitely.
matter what the successful implementation is going to come down to a good installer.
Exactly, yeah. Because we see also a shift in the market whereby you do have the product category of the IoT type of products, where the end user can just put the product, the camera on his table, and he's got some type of security and that type of thing. But the installer will still be there to do the full-on professional installation for businesses and that type of thing. So,
yeah, I think we take for granted the experience we have.
yes.
So many brands have started down the road of launching what they're hoping is going to become DIY.
Yeah.
Suddenly the relevance of where to put your camera. Yes, there's DIY cameras
Yes.
out in the market, but where do I install it? What's important? What's relevant? We take that for granted because we've been working for that for so long.
Exactly, yeah.
The accountant that buys a camera online and suddenly wants to put it up, there's still a value to install.
Definitely, yeah. I think probably also companies coming into the market like Ajax and those guys, that is almost a hybrid between the two. If I want to buy the package from online or from a distributor directly, there is a way you can do your own installation at home, even with limited experience. But then they also have the other side whereby it's a very big professional installation that can be done. So I think also the evolution of companies out there and manufacturers out there that is allowing the end user a bit more leeway, I think that also makes a very big difference.
No, it does. But there's still, you mentioned the brand. There was a perception before I started selling that it is a DIY brand.
Yeah.
But when you actually start working with some of these brands and you realize the technology that they've incorporated and if installed correctly, will deliver a different result. Suddenly you realize, wait a minute, whilst it might be perceived as a DIY brand, if you install it right, you will get a different outcome.
Of course, yeah. Tell me, you're touching on the AI now with the search capabilities and all of that type of thing. Now, AI in security, what is your perception in, if it is, I don't want to call it hype. I want to say, from your point of view, do you know about use cases where AI is already being used fully in the security industry?
Sure. This is where you get me excited. Look, those that have worked with me know I'm a big advocate for AI. I think if used responsibly and if you're able to filter between marketing hype and real world realities, and it's powerful. What is the value within the security industry right now? I think it's all about improving efficiency and speeding up outcomes. The obvious one is AI in video analytics, but we're seeing with a lot of the manufacturers AI coming in other areas, reporting, setup. Some of the manufacturers, I've seen systems that can be set up with voice commands now and things. So AI is real. AI is going to happen. AI is going to touch all our lives. For me, it's the most exciting as a technical guy in my technical career. This is the most exciting time from a technology point of view. I think things are going to change and they're going to change rapidly. I think this is going to change more as law. I don't think it's doubling anymore. I think it's going to go much faster.
We've seen the keynotes and stuff that's been given at CES from Nvidia and those guys, and you can see probably Moore's law is no more
for me, I think it's here, it's real, it's happening. How fast is the question. I think the big resistance, and specifically in our country, the employee mindset versus the business mindset. There's resistance to it because people think it's going to replace jobs. That's the employee mindset. A businessman sees this as an opportunity to take on more customers.
Definitely.
And I think the mindset has to change. But there also has to be a clear differentiation on what is hype and what is real. But it's coming. It's happening, and it's happening fast.
Do you think the the guardrails that can be put in place for, because a lot of people are also worried about AI, and especially in our market with in the security industry and all of that, we need to be responsible. Do you think the technology is there that we can put guardrails in place to be able to protect people's personal space and that type of thing?
I think so. I think it's actually helping us. It's improving. We're able to now hide faces in live video on surveillance. AI is allowing us to detect what needs to be blanked out and things. I think it's going to improve things for us. It's going to, and I think with the global concern around AI, I think there's a lot of investment globally to make sure that there's some sort of frameworks. It's going to come down again to what are you using?
Yes.
Where are you using it from? Like any product, are you purchasing from a reputable resource? Is it a reliable company and things like that? But I think we need to always be concerned, but I don't think we should resist.
Yeah, I think probably where a lot of I know the guys saying AI is a hype and all of those things, but I think the hype is also around everybody. There is, like you say, the employees that's worried about their jobs and stuff, and I think that is being hyped up too much, whereby the employees can now change in being using AI in a way that they can actually just go on and make themselves more valuable for the company than what the AI might be.
I mean, there's the old cliche, well, it's not an old cliche, the new cliche is, AI is not going to replace you. The people who learn how to use it is going to replace you.
Yes.
And that's very relevant.
That is exactly what's going to happen, yeah.
My own kids, that's the message I give them. One is in engineering, one is in accounting, and both AI is relevant. If you don't learn to adapt, the person who does is going to...
Exactly, yeah.
So, I think it is just about accepting that it is here and learning and figuring out how it's going to enhance your career. Even at this late stage in my career, it's helped me a lot.
Yes.
It's made me more efficient.
I use it every day. Every day where I can. It is not to do my job, it is to start my job. That type of thing. Then it gives you other ideas what to go in, that type of thing.
Actually, I read an interesting article on LinkedIn the other day, and I wish I could remember the author's name so I can give him credit. But the guy had written an article where he'd basically mapped the parallels between his triathlon career and running a security operations center.
Yes.
And I found the one sentence was quite interesting for me. He equated the event to the starting gun.
Oh.
AI is creating the event. That's the starting gun.
Yes.
The individual still has to use that information to decide how they're going to run the race best.
Yeah, that is very interesting, yes.
AI is going to help improve the quality of the events we get and the events we need to process, but it still requires human interaction to decide on what is the right approach.
Yeah.
And
I think that is where the thing is going to come in is when do you give AI the opportunity to make that decision? And I think that is where the pivotal moment is going to come in. Are people going to trust AI, and is it going to be a daily use case for even in our market?
Yeah, it is. It's and again, I've probably said this a few times. It's what is the reality?
Yeah.
There's a lot of concepts out there, and those concepts will become real.
Definitely. Yeah.
But it's understanding when.
Yeah.
And what are the boundaries right now?
And I think it's again the like history repeating itself. There is, like you say, there is people that was on typewriters never thought they're gonna do a computer in front of them with Word or something in front of them, and then it goes to next, so you can do dictation and everything. And now even with AI, it's making it even easier for those guys.
I kind of equate it in my own career. I equate it to the introduction of IP cameras. I come from the analog era.
Yep.
I remember sitting in talks with Roy Alves representing Axis in the beginning. He'd come from the print industry, and he was telling the security industry that this IP camera is going to be the next best thing. And us analog guys looked at the CMOS element that was used, and this was a really low quality camera, low frame rate. There's no way.
And there we are.
Look where we are now. So and I think AI is in that same space. There's old school people that are resisting.
Yes.
and there's people that are adopting, and
I think also there's previous concepts where people, I think also sometimes marketing ploys where previously we heard smart city and big data, but then we didn't have the technology to actually go through process it. And I think now is the correct time to bring back those concepts. Now we can do it. Now it's easy with AI.
We can process that information.
Yeah, because all of that metadata our market can generate. AI is the only thing that will be able to process that type of information at the end of the day. Because you were mentioning the mask on the face. Normally you had a full mask on the screen, so then you cannot really see anything.
Yeah.
But now with AI, it's moving with the face and with even it picks up the age, and it doesn't show the kids walking around and that type of thing.
Yeah, I think technology at the moment, or security industry at the moment, is at an intersection. We're at the intersection of technology versus human behavior versus real world reality.
Exactly.
And I think, we are an economic enabler.
Yeah.
If we look at the technology that's available right now, we play a pivotal role in where the economy is going to go.
Definitely. Yeah.
If we provide a safe, secure environment for people to invest. And that's, I think the security industry is definitely in a good position right now.
Yeah. Tell me, but our industry in South Africa, if you think about South African industry and the rest of the world, where would you rate South Africa in? Are we at the top 5? Or are we at the bottom? Where would you rate us?
I think we're different. We're different.
That's a good answer. Yes.
Yeah. I don't think you can equate. I think we're very strong at protecting large areas, perimeter protection. We early warning detection. Our crimes are violent. We're not. Some countries are more focused on evidential recording versus they're more reactive in that. We want to be proactive.
Definitely.
So I think where we are ahead is being proactive for obvious reasons. In those environments, outdoor detection is definitely much bigger in our country. When we look at environments like mining and that, we have to deal with very different harsh environments. We always say to manufacturers, if you really want to put a product through its paces, send it to South Africa.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think we're ahead in those spaces. I think where we're behind is possibly standards.
Yeah.
Continuous skills development.
Yes.
I think our skills development is very different, and that I don't think there's enough focus on our industry. There isn't a specific education vertical. We have places where if you want to be a millwright and things like that, there's channels where you can go and develop yourself.
Exactly.
Security industry doesn't have that. Installers want to employ somebody who can be fully productive from day one and things. So
I think it comes back to that we do not have standards. And I think I asked it in the previous episode as well, isn't it a time now where we all need to start working together and actually try to get some standards in place? So for the future of this market, because we're all sitting with the same problem that there's no new blood coming into this market. Some guys that's pivoting off a network certification or again an IT certification, but there's nothing that you can put on paper and say I'm qualified to go in here.
It's definitely, the answer is yes. We need better standards. We need better controls. We need to protect the industry. The barriers to entry are zero.
Yes.
Anybody that's looking for something to make money can get in, and there's no requirements or anything.
Yes.
So there's no doubt we need it. We have tried it.
Mm-hmm.
We have tried it. I was part of it many years ago. We tried to put together committees. The only ones that succeeded at the time was the intrusion industry.
Mm-hmm.
They got together. They were a bit of a framework.
Correct. Yes.
Ones that were most successful was the electric fence. They managed to put some regulations in place and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the industry just weren't able to get it together. And the biggest challenge at the time was finding a group of people that would be neutral.
Yeah.
What we found on the committees was a lot of manufacturers, and the manufacturers wanting to steer the standards towards their product range and that there. So there's no doubt it needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about who would be the right people.
Of course, yes.
To start it.
Yeah.
And starting. We
Yeah.
keep putting it off.
Exactly. Yeah. Tell me, coming back to the technology side, what is one of the products in the market at the moment that surprised you that you didn't think would have done very well, let's say 10 years ago?
Sure. Good question. I guess AI.
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago, if you told me there was going to be this thing called AI, I wouldn't have believed you.
Yes.
How would an image be able to give you so much information?
Exactly. Yeah.
How would a machine be able to give you so much information?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest change. Would I have believed this 10 years ago?
Yeah.
No. So that's definitely one.
Is there any products that you didn't think that would have failed by now? Something that was prevalent 10 years ago, but that's not that much prevalent these days.
Sure. I'm going to use you as an example. You approached me in ADI days, and back in the ADI days, I didn't believe Chinese products would succeed.
Which was not, I mean, it was, that is something we had to fight.
Yeah, 10 years ago, there was many. ZK was one of the brands, and I'll put my hand up and take it on the chin. When you and I first met and we first spoke, I was a product manager, and I wasn't willing to look at ZKT as a brand. Look where they are now.
Yeah, I mean, I had that from all sides and stuff, and it was more a belief of being able to get there, because I mean, yes, 2009, South Africa was the first subsidiary for ZK International, the first subsidiary, and they're obviously setting up the other subsidiaries that gives the feedback and obviously then the growth of the product. But I don't think anybody of us was actually behind or knew what was going to happen in the future.
That's right.
Because most of the big brands now is from China. You do still get guys that is putting some solutions together with different companies and all of that to stay up there. If it's going to stay there, I don't know. With the geopolitical and all of that, I don't know if it's going to stay in China. But I think Chinese technology is far ahead on the security side than anything else we've seen.
I think, you obviously visit the factories. We visit various factories. The advancements are outstanding. I mean, it's amazing to see some of those factories.
Yes.
They've just evolved. 10 years ago, well, let's say, I mean, I started traveling early 2000s, used to go to Taiwan and that there, and what I saw then as factories versus what I see now.
It's two different
worlds
things,
apart. Yeah, worlds apart. And I think if there was, I didn't think IP was going to take off. It did. I didn't think ZKT would take off in the beginning.
Exactly.
It did. So I think you've got to constantly be open-minded.
Definitely. Yeah.
And I think the next one we've got to be open-minded on is AI.
Tell me, we've seen now internationally, from your point of view, cloud SaaS applications. Again, it was something that came in probably 10 years ago, but I think now with the new technology and the new platforms that is in place, cloud access control, video, all of that, do you think that is also a new level where we can get in?
Yeah, I don't think the question is anymore will it. The question is when will it again as well. And I think the things, when it first started, the things that were restrictive for us have been resolved. The big restrictions in the beginning was bandwidth.
Yes.
We didn't have a fiber network across the country. Now I don't know anybody that doesn't have fiber.
Exactly.
So bandwidth is no longer a restriction. With that, the cost came down. In the beginning, cost was restrictive for us, cost of bandwidth. Now that has dropped. I think it's now education, conditioning of the buyer. And I think the commercial side is helping us with that. Subscription was something that people were anti. They wanted to pay now and get it over with. And things. So I think moving forward, I think we'll start seeing a change. People are being conditioned. We're used to paying for Netflix. We're used to paying for Microsoft Office now. So that conditioning is happening, and businesses will start evolving. I remember the first time I sold a credential in a project. It was in the banking segment, and it was 20,000 credentials. And the first year selling the credential was easy. There was something tangible that was being handed over.
Exactly, yeah.
The following January, when the subscription had to be renewed, it suddenly became a very difficult conversation where it was R1 million investment and there was nothing tangible being handed over. Back then that was just unconceivable. Now that conversation's a lot easier. People understand and that there. So cloud is definite. It's coming. I think we will start seeing acceleration in that now. And I think it solves a lot of the, that old school debate of OPEX versus CAPEX. We'll start seeing more and more value now that the confidence is building.
Of course, yeah.
The people that are focusing on OPEX versus CAPEX will start shifting more towards those services and that there. And the technology has advanced. Like everything, their initial concept wasn't ready.
Exactly, yeah.
I think now we're starting to see some good solutions, and the cost of the actual hosting. I spoke about the limitations of getting to the cloud. But there was also costs. It was expensive when people did calculations and calculated what it was going to cost to use a cloud service versus buying the hardware on site. The cloud was expensive, but I think those costs are also coming down. And where are they going to meet to make the decision? Short term, I don't see anybody going full cloud. I think we'll always be hybrid. And in one of your previous podcasts, I think Kiri mentioned it.
Yes.
I really liked his analogy of Eskom. Cloud is all good as long as the link is there. I think we will always be hybrid, but there will be an increase in uptake.
You were touching on the credentials, and one thing that I mention in almost every episode is the difference between guys who are going out to sell mobile credentials versus biometrics. Because I know it's two different markets, and it's up to the end user what they want to use. But now I've seen a very big difference between the South African or the African solutions and the Americans, whereby the Americans like tags, they like credentials, they like something on their phone or something like that, but then they don't like biometrics again. So with us, it's totally different. But what is your take on that?
So I think I have a different view to you on credentials. I don't actually see them as opposing technologies. As a technical,
I understand.
As a technical person now, as a distributor, I have a different view.
Of course.
I prefer to sell hardware. But from a technical point of view, I don't see them actually as opposing technologies. We haven't done away with biometrics. We've just shifted it.
Definitely, yeah.
We've just shifted it. But it's more exciting for me. If we look at multi-factor authentication, if you look at the 5 levels of multi-factor authentication, the mobile device really provides a lot of information.
It's a lot.
As long as the credential is being issued to the device in a credible way, you have, it's what you have. It's what you know. If there's a second password or a PIN, it's who you are, the biometric on the phone. And, people will question, well, can we trust the biometrics on the phone? Well, those same people are trusting that device with their bank.
Exactly.
Banking details and that there. But what the mobile device also starts adding in, which we're going to start seeing access control companies using more and more of, is, well, obviously the GPS. Where are you? And then the more exciting one for me, which we're going to see coming, which is the AI side, is behavioral patterns.
Yes.
The mobile device has so much information about you. I mean, my mobile device knows my heart rate, my age, everything.
Knows everything.
So behavioral patterns and that there. I mean, we're going to reach a stage where we're going to be able to tell whether or not that person's under duress or the right frame of mind or anything like that. So
even triggered words and stuff that you can say or a sentence. I mean,
so I think it gives us a lot more flexibility from a technical point of view. From a distribution point of view, obviously I have a very different view on that, because a lot less for us. A lot less for us to sell and everything. Do I think national key sites, high-risk sites will switch completely? No, I think there's always going to be the requirement for on-site verification. But the combination as well, there's no harm in having the first point of entry as on-site biometrics that you're in control of, and then the rest of the site is managed by mobile credentials. So Yeah, I don't see them as opposing. I see them as complementing. I think
Yes.
they're very much intertwined, and I think it gives us a lot more flexibility.
Yeah.
We always tried to get that multi-factor authentication, but it was always price inhibiting because
Yes.
you had to have multiple technologies to be able to do multi-factor. Now
Yes.
you've got one device that can do all five.
Exactly, yeah.
So
I think also with the technology of the people, the younger people getting into technology much faster these days is making a very big difference on what is going to be used in the future. Biometrics and mobile is being used at the moment. I think, like you say, the power is combining them.
yeah, I think, I always sit back and wonder. I did a talk many years ago at Monte Casino with one of the other vendors, and I spoke then about, my grandparents struggled with the concept of home PC.
Yes.
My parents struggled with the concept of smartphones and
Phones.
touchscreens.
Yep.
What am I going to struggle with? What are we going to struggle with
Yeah,
in our
yeah.
generation? There's
Probably
always
this
this new
robot coming
technology.
down the road and trying to.
Yeah. So there's always these
Yes.
advancements, and there'll always be an age group that doesn't buy into that new
Yeah.
technology. And, touch wood, I'm not there yet. I'm
Yes.
still very excited about the current
Definitely.
technologies and things like that.
Then on the last point, a bit more personal, which I always ask all of the participants and the interviews. From your point of view, how do we make our market sexy again for the young people to get more young blood into this market? What would you tell those guys, those young people out there that just got their matric results, even if you didn't pass? Where do we go from here?
I think we touched on it earlier. I think security industry is no longer just about gates, guards, cameras. I think we're at that, as I said, the intersection of technology versus human behavior with those real world requirements. And I think it's an industry that's going to play a large role in the economy,
Yes.
with economic stability. And I think if you're open to opportunity, you're willing to work, and you've got an inquisitive mindset, I think there's a massive amount of opportunity within our industry. And I think we've proven it's probably the most resilient. Anybody that could still show growth into
Yes.
2020, there's always a need.
Of course. Yeah.
And I think we're at exciting times. I think technology is going to start playing more of a role, and it's no longer what it used to be.
I think we've grown up in an era where we've seen internet happening, Google and all of the big companies, and now we also have the opportunity and by the grace of God be here for AI to happen, which is another revolution that is in.
Yeah, I think if you've got an inquisitive mind, I think the limitation is going to be your imagination.
Now, is there anything, if you think back now, anything that you would have told your 20-year-old self?
Lots. Yeah, I think, again, we touched a bit earlier. I think believe in yourself, understand who you are, and be open. As I said earlier, I didn't set out the career that I followed wasn't a career I planned, and I think very few people end up following the career.
Definitely, yes.
But I think it's also important to understand who you are, because I've also seen a lot of people fail trying to force themselves into a field that they're not suited to.
Yes.
So yeah, I think being open. I think the other one that I often hear people giving advice, work smart, not hard. And I think that's only half the story here.
No, definitely.
I think you've got to learn how to work hard first.
Yeah.
Learn how to make mistakes, learn how to become resilient, and then learn how to take shortcuts.
You need to become smart.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there now that think, want to make money quickly. I don't have to work hard. How do I make money without working hard? And maybe I'm old school. Maybe it's old school thought. And that, I think, back to your question, what advice would I give myself? I think the biggest one was resisting, not saying yes straight away, waiting for the right opportunity. I should have followed some opportunities earlier in my career, and that.
Awesome. And on that point, I would like to thank you for your time and all of your insights.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I think the guys out there will definitely have a big opportunity to learn from you and taking it forward. But thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.